Hello there. A little Obi-Wan quote to get us started and to greet you. But hi, I'm Adrian, another greeting for you, and welcome to Man with a Plant Show, where we talk football. And in particular, we're talking about the Champions League football from Tuesday, April 5th, Benfica versus Liverpool, and Man City versus Atletico. And let's go, man. You know, I really thought that Atletico were going to offer a little bit more going forward when they took on Manchester City, but that was an epic disappointment, man. With all of the quality attackers that Atletico have, they were absolutely pinned down in their own end for much of the match. But I mean, I guess part of that was down to design from Diego Simeone, wasn't it? It was 3 center backs. It was 3 central midfielders. It was the now trademarked back 5 that shifts to a back 4, depending on the situation during the match. And it was not the most enjoyable match, was it? I get it. Football purists out there will say, wow, it was so incredible to see this clash of philosophies, this clash of approaches, 2 vastly different styles of football going head to head. How long can Simeone's team hold their shape, the immovable object, hold their shape and hold off Manchester City? And how will Manchester City find a way to unlock this door? I get it. I've stood up for plenty of games that were quote unquote boring. When the chat is getting on my ass about, Adrian, you chose to watch the boring game again. Just because there weren't a ton of goals, basically, is what that equates to. But this was like handing a guy a spoon and telling him to carve a totem pole. There was a lot of resistance, a lot of obstacles to the art. City tried their best to do City things, playing a 4-3-3 against an incredibly crowded Atletico final third. Just look at where the majority of the match was played. 41% of it was in Atletico's final third. That's tough, man. There was one moment for Atletico that comes to mind right after halftime where they had 3 attackers running at 2-ish City defenders because, to be fair, more were streaking back quickly. But Atleti had Griezmann, João Felix, and Llorente all charging forward with a genuine opportunity to absolutely smash and grab themselves a goal completely against the run of play. And Griezmann attempted to play a pass to the ad boards instead. It was one moment for Atletico amongst many, many moments for City to score because Atletico didn't have a single attempt. Not one single attempt from 35 yards away, nor one from 6. They were nowhere near the goal besides that one rush, really, which felt like a massive missed opportunity. I mean, a few minutes later, another counter saw Llorente hit a limp cross into the arms of Ederson, but that was far from dangerous. Again, though, the final ball was about as dangerous as stepping on a cotton ball, but the play had potential to be dangerous. I'm probably forgetting another Atleti attack that looked dangerous, but I can't think of it right now. I have brain brokey right now. City, on the other hand, I mean, it's not as if they peppered the goal. A lot of their chances that went begging were passes that were just out of reach or shots that went narrowly wide, but the bulk of them were blocked by Atleti's defenders. I mean, Oblak only had to make one save, that coming from a free kick that he got down quickly for and kicked the rebound away before anyone else could pounce on it. But City did eventually find their goal as the substitute Phil Foden made a quick little run between some Atleti defenders, then slid a perfectly weighted ball through to Kevin De Bruyne, and his strike across the goal left Oblak with no chance. Deserved lead and win, I'd say, for City. Beyond a few handbags between the Atleti players, Guardiola and Grealish, there isn't much else to talk about in this one. What I will say is that at the Wanda, you can see how there is potential for Atletico. They get some of those attacking moves sorted, a little more, find your man and a little less pass to Ederson and the ad boards, and they could fight their way back into this. 1 goal deficit, all to play for still. I had pretty low expectations for Benfica versus Liverpool, as anyone who has followed Benfica closely this season knows that we have been quite shit. Well, our Champions League run has been one of the few highlights for us. I mean, Benfica is 3rd in the league, out of every cup, can't beat any of the top teams to save our lives. We lost to Braga last weekend, the 4th place team. I mean, it sounds like I'm being harsh, but truth hurts, I guess. That's just the reality of our season. So a lot was hanging on this match, playing at home against Liverpool. And to be honest, with the way Liverpool lined up, it looked like they were trying to bury us, to bury this tie in the first 45, then take some players off to rest for that crucial match against City on Sunday, which could potentially be a title-deciding game. But there were moments where Benfica looked like maybe they could find a way through Liverpool's back line, because it's not as airtight as it used to be. Our only a hope, ours being Benfica's, would be to attack lightning quick upon receiving the ball, play to our strengths in the attack, which is speed, but unfortunately, when compared to the elite teams, we lack in quality. Sure, we can surprise teams now and then, and our players are capable of scoring some beauties now and then, but the difference between teams like Benfica and Liverpool are that the players that finish off chances now and then versus players that finish off chances regularly. Oh, and a massive gulf in finances, better players, and a better coach. That as well. We'll get to more of the lack of quality in a bit. But back to what I was saying. With Konate and Van Dijk back there, it's always going to be incredibly difficult to break through, but you could see how Benfica could attack the space between the center backs and the full backs and exploit our speed. Unfortunately, in the first half, it just didn't come off, and I was getting incredibly frustrated in our midfield, seeing Adel Taarabt in there against Thiago, Fabinho, and Keita. The man offers very little. 2 out of his 3 passes are poor. He tries tricks and fancy outside of the boot passes when he doesn't need to. It's all very frustrating, and I wish Verissimo would just play João Mario instead. Another gripe I had in the first half. Grimaldo acting as if he's Mohamed Salah's chauffeur, his bodyguard basically. My man Grimaldo was making sure that right flank was always wide open. After you, sir, for Mr. Salah to have his fun down the right. Thankfully, he was a bit out of sorts, and the chances Salah did have when he had the ball in behind Benfica's backline were all either saved by Vlachodimos, Benfica's man of the match properly, or went begging for one reason or another. Luis Diaz was easily Liverpool's most dangerous attacker as he nearly set up Salah early, but it was just out of reach for the Egyptian, and he later grabbed himself a goal and an assist in this game. Not surprising considering how well he always plays against Benfica, but the first goal annoyed me. Remember when I was talking about how Timber versus Darwin was an absolute mismatch as far as height goes when Ajax was defending set pieces against Benfica, and how that burned them in that second leg? Well, who did Benfica send to defend against Ibrahima Konate? Everton Suarez, Everton Cebolinha, Everton Onions, the Onion Man. Massive mismatch as Everton is 1.74 meters while Konate is 1.94. An incredible mismatch. And of course, Konate opened the scoring with his header. His first Liverpool goal, actually. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations!
Liverpool really started to take control as the first half went on. Benfica started the half well, but they slowly started to play within themselves. And honestly, I think the occasion got to them a bit. The defense especially, as it got pretty loose with chances arriving everywhere for Liverpool. And like I said, Luis Diaz set up Sadio Mane for Liverpool's second goal, 2-0 after 34 minutes. But Benfica played relatively well in the second half, bar that final ball or finish. Darwin cutting in on Van Dijk, nah. The way he flopped, that would have been a ridiculous penalty to give in my opinion. Much prefer if he would have just tried to keep the ball instead of flopping like that. But in watching the replay again, he didn't have a chance to do so as Alexander-Arnold would have cut him off there. So there are 2 things going against Darwin's penalty claim. The minimal contact from Van Dijk and the fact that he had no chance of recovering the ball even if Van Dijk didn't touch him, which is something referees consider with penalties as well. Benfica did pull one back as a rare moment of quality in the attack saw Rafa pick out Darwin, but even so, I mean, it was still another final ball that found a defender, but Konate just so happened to err on the clearance and it went through his legs to Darwin. This was something that for me was the biggest difference between the two sides. So many times I would see Benfica have a promising attack building in the middle third of the pitch and the through ball would find a defender. Or they would have a decent opportunity to generate a chance from a wide position and Darwin would cut inside instead of playing it to a teammate. The final ball through the box would find a defender instead of an attacker. Yes, it's also a difference in quality, having quality defenders for Liverpool, but it's also a difference in just the quality of the attackers to make the correct decisions, one, in the final third, and have the quality to execute properly. That really shone through today. And I know it's always was a given that that's the case. Obviously, Liverpool's better than Benfica, but just seeing it live in action really hit different. Even in how Benfica transitions from defense to attack, that's a coaching issue. Those have to be automations. All the best managers have automated out balls and ways to play out of defense quickly, whereas Benfica are just kind of hoping for the best when they win the ball, and more often than not, just giving the ball right back to their opponents, as we saw against Ajax, and then again against Liverpool. So I commend Benfica for a decent second half, but this match went the direction we all expected, I think. Benfica completely outplayed for the most part. They were always the David up against the Goliath, and now we pray for a miracle at Anfield to go in the visitors' favor, which doesn't happen too often. But man, this just further proved to me how deep Liverpool's attack is. Mane, Salah, Diaz. You can bring Jota and Firmino off of the bench. I mean, it just isn't fair, especially when you compare that to what Benfica bring off of the bench. Liverpool essentially has 2 attacking lineups they can play. 2.5. It's ridiculous. And for me, they have the deepest attack in Europe, the deepest quality attack. And that will do it, guys, for this video. A mountain for Benfica, but a very doable deficit to overcome for Atletico back at the Wanda Nada Metropolitano, as we like to call it here at Rabona TV. And when I say we, I mean me. But anyways, guys, thanks so much to everyone who joined me in the live stream yesterday. That was a ton of fun. We're going to have another one today for Chelsea versus Real Madrid. That should be good. A little rematch of last season's semifinal. But aside from that, thanks for watching this video. My name is Adrian. Take care.